Welcome to the Polity today, Wednesday of the last month in the year 2025. We're here to discuss important topic that concerns the 2027. Do we have an opposition? That is the question we'll be looking at. Do we have an opposition in the country? Ahead 2027, does Nigeria have an opposition? And knowing the importance of an opposition in a democracy. My name is Osaretin Osadebamwen, and we'll be looking at this critical topic because with the way things are happening in the polity, where two more governors of the People's Democratic Party have parted ways with the party and gone through different routes. One to the Accord Party, which is the governor of Osun State, and the other to the All Progressive Congress, who formerly had gone to Accord Party, that is the River State Governor, His Excellency Siminalayi Fubara, whom in the early days of his fight with his political godfather, moved to the Accord Party and made a very good show of himself with the local government elections until the debacle that followed, and then after the legal tussle, those ones are off, and then he also is back to the PDP, and then now finally at the APC. Not quite a lot of persons will say that yes, there has been an expectation that this will happen following the series of negotiations and the behind the scene negotiation that has gone between him and the president. So several meetings he has held with the president and persons close to the president, and then the minister of the Federal Capital Territory himself. So today we'll be looking at these with what is happening. The PDP governors have shrunk further. As it is today now, there is no governor of the PDP in the south because they are virtually off the party, and so as it is clear that the PDP will not in any way, the PDP will not in any way have any kind of strength and number when it comes to the matters of these persons in this state. So we are going to be looking at this, and this topic will be treated by guests when we return after the break for the conversation, where they will be discussing the topic with us. Two guests will be here today to discuss this interesting topic. But we'll have to look at it. In a democracy, it is important that you have an opposition. Democratic governance cannot be considered to be very, very thriving when there is no vibrancy of an opposition, which will be doing the constructive criticism to enable the ruling party or those in government to ensure that they stay aright. Because there is a saying that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so when you have power availed to you and there is no checks in the form of opposition beside the checks which are in the legislature and the the judiciary, which form a democratic governance. So you have the executive, the judiciary, and then the legislature, all of which are independent, supposedly independent by the concept. They should be independent and coordinating independent unit, such that but they all cede authority to the executive, which gives a guide and drives a democratic governance. However, in their operation, the oversight function is given to the legislature to ensure that whatever the government is doing is in tandem with whatever policy and programs that has been agreed upon with the legislature. And the judiciary is there to also interpret actions of the legislature and that of the executive in the event that any of such arm of government deviates from what is already agreed on principle in governance. But unfortunately, there seems to be a fear in the public space that a one-party state will not be good for Nigeria. And so with the way our governors are moving out of the People's Democratic Party, which fell from a ruling party to an opposition party, and further and seem to be further dwindling into a silent opposition, is a thing of worry for all Nigerians. And so we are saying, how best can Nigeria work? How best can the opposition work? Are they there? Are they not there? These are the questions I will be answering in the next 1 hour, 30 minutes on the Politics Today with my two guests when we return. It's Kaftan TV, and it is the Polity this Wednesday afternoon. We are serving you the very best of our stories that have come up that dominated the news from yesterday until this morning, where you're talking about the governor of Osun State and River State parting their ways with the People's Democratic Party, the very party that fielded them for election 4 years earlier. And so about 4 years earlier for that of Osun, 4 years earlier, they're preparing for another election. And so I want to know, why are they moving? What are they seeing inside the party that is making them move? And those who are moving to the APC, what are they seeing in the APC that is making them move? And where the topic for the day is 2027 general elections. Are you saying, does Nigeria still have an opposition? Does Nigeria still have an opposition? Do we have an opposition that will be able to present that alternative view that is required in a democracy? Do we have the opposition that will provide constructive criticism? With the way the party now is made to have its own crisis, the main opposition party, which is the PDP, seems to have its own crisis, and so it cannot focus on what to be done. Well, with me here in the studio is Mr. Matthew Obisesan. He is an in-house analyst that will be joining us today. Matthew, welcome to the program.
Good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let me ask you, we're in a democracy, and we all have seen how the APC came into power, how PDP was in charge before now it has gone into the opposition, and the APC is in power. And right now, many of those governors who have moved, Akwa Ibom, Delta, Enugu, and now Rivers have joined to move into the APC. How does that, because the opposition is shrinking right now, so how does that help a democracy when you almost have no opposition?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that does not in any way help democracy. Democracy itself, the principle allows multi-party system, and the essence of that is to give a sense of belonging to the populace. And so when you have a democracy or a democratic government that is sliding into one-party state, it therefore means that there is an abnormality. There's an abnormality. Looking at what is happening in Nigeria right now, I think I foresaw this a long time before. Just before the current administration came in, because in democracy you have in democracy you have three major arms of government, and then when you look at what we have today, you can easily say that we're almost not there. Why do I say so? Because there's that thin line between legislature, executive, and the judiciary. Now, if you look at our judiciary today, you will discover that there are a lot of issues. Even the president recently was saying something concerning judiciary. He said something very significant. He said our judges should deliver their judgment unbiased. And that's alone, when you look at it perspective, in a critical perspective, you discover that it's a very, very, very important statement, looking at some of the judgment that we've gotten recently. Then you look at our legislature, you discover that what we have today you can't simply say it's an independent arm of government, because even before the inauguration, or before the 10th Assembly was inaugurated, you could easily, point at where the leadership would be because of the infiltration of the heirs of executive. And so what we have, talking about, coming back to your question about the political parties today, it is the same, I would say it's the same virus that, infiltrated into the legislature or even into the judiciary as we have it today. And so as it stands today, Nigeria opposition party, I can't think of one that is really doing well. PDP.
In terms of being opposition?
No.
You just wonder if the party, there's an opposition party. And in 2027 is just by the corner. By 2026, it's certain that they begin to have political activities across the country.
Absolutely.
And you don't have a robust opposition that will be able to present an alternative view to the Nigerian public. That is an issue of concern in a democracy.
Absolutely.
Because you need to have you need to have that. With this movement of the Osun State governor to accord a party, by implication, it means the entire South now does not have any PDP state.
Absolutely.
You move from Lagos, you move to Osun, in South. You move from what do you call it? Lagos is APC.
Southwest. Yeah.
Southwest. Lagos is APC. Osun is PDP now.
Accord.
Oyo, PDP is PDP.
Yes.
What's his name? Ogun is APC. Ekiti is APC.
APC party.
So you now go to the South. You talk about Bayelsa has moved. You get it?
Yes.
Akwa Ibom has moved.
Yes. Edo is APC.
What do you call it?
Edo is APC.
Edo is APC. You get to Delta. Delta is APC. What other states now? All of them, PDP seem to have lost the ground.
PDP.
In the whole of the area. So what it is now is like the South governors are well disposed to a southern to a continuity of a southern president in 2027.
Obviously, and I think it's a pre-planned game. In politics, you even though we are looking at it from perspectives of leadership, but it's a game. Politics is actually a game. It has element of science also. It's just that it's not that type of empirical evidence science, but social science. And this was pre-planned, if you ask me, because the APC as of today, if you look at some of the, even their convention, their full endorsement of the president for 2027, that means there's not going to be primary. And so when you have...
No, they still have a primary because the electoral law requires they mandated that they should have what do you call it? Even if you are going to have a consensus, all the other persons, if they are those who are opposed, should all sign. That's what the electoral law.
That would be in theory.
The electoral law tied them down to these processes so that the semi-democratic reality are in compliance with.
In theory, you will have, but in practical, of course, we know where. The president has already had full endorsement for 2027 election, and so anybody who is even coming trying to pick the form of primary from APC already know where it's going. So as for me, I think I know there could be some internal infiltration into some of these parties, especially from the executive arm of government. But I also think that it is just as a result of some of the things that we have complained as citizens of Nigeria to the leaders. There's this idea of everybody wants power. Everybody just want to get power. And so when you look at even the new formation of ADC, you are going to see this clearly, that it is not about the country or about, taking back our country, for the well-being of the people. It is actually about a game of power that everyone in that, if you look at the big names in PDP, in ADC today, you discover that everybody wants to have the ticket. And that was exactly what happened even in 2023 when they were in labor, you know, there was big chance of for then Peter Obi and all of that. But you could see what happened. Everybody, you know, Atiku gang was there, you know, Peter Obi was there. So there was this division between them. And because of that, APC had it very easy. And that's the same game that is, you know, being played out even as we speak today.
Yes, today I even read in the papers where the ADC say there is no matter, there is no debate over zoning. It should say forgetting matter. It's about the best of person, imagine, and the rest of it.
No, but when you look at, you know, politicians in Nigeria can just say something. But when it comes to the time, or you look at it, you know, the practicality of what is on ground, you are going to be saying something different. And that's why many people just think when a politician speaks, you just have to look back and, you know, ask yourself, you know, who is speaking for real? You know, so look at ADC. Recently, Malam El-Rufai has joined. Recently, Atiku Abubakar has also.
They have made a formal entrance.
Exactly. And so now they are asking Peter Obi. Just recently, I mean, there was the publicity of the party was saying he should make him stand in the party. Him, as a matter of fact, for now, no Nigeria truly know where he belongs. Maybe is he in ADC?
Labour is having
Labor as exactly. Even ADC is having. It's just that for now there's some level of little you know, they are pancaking around. Permit my word. You know, so as it stands today, there is no specific direction in terms of what we can call vibrant opposition party in Nigeria. But we could have it in theory. We can say, okay, in theory, there are some of them we have. For instance, Osun State Governor, and the Accord now has a party through the, I want to call it miscalculation of the Osun State Governor. And so today Accord is having, we have Labour Party to have one governor in the southeast, you know, and then APC is the big
miscalculation.
Yeah, because why I call it miscalculation is that he had wanted to come into APC, but the calculation was too late. As at the time he was supposed to move, he couldn't, you know, make up his mind. And as when he decided to move, the window was already closed. The party already had a structure of people whom they are, you know, who they can't say no to for the next election of the state. And so as it stands now, the governor, even if he succeeds by joining APC, he definitely will not get the ticket.
May not be the choice.
He can't get the ticket. So he, as he stands today now, I'm too sure his political planners or his strategists will be confused also, as much as I am sitting here looking at what is his chances in Accord. How many structures do they even have in Osun State? Who are those who, look, let's face reality. The politics is about a game of number. And so once you have the number, you have
the winning.
You can.
If you have the number,
you can easily have the winning,
and then you can be able to get support to be able to drive
exactly.
Well, we shall be going on a break now, and then we'll come back. We'll have the conversation elevated with the second guest, and then you are the third guest with your call coming in. Thank you very much. Let's go on a break. Back to the polity here on Kaftan TV. Where we are talking about the 2027. Do we have an opposition? Does Nigeria have an opposition? In view of the activities in the political space, where there is dwindling and a seeming continual dwindling on the main opposition party, which is the People's Democratic Party, into the ruling All Progressive Congress. Except that for this one, that has happened, we are now seeing a movement from the party to Accord Party. So today, here in the studio, I am with two guests. Of course, I've introduced my earlier guests whom you have met, but let us still go again. That is Mr. Matthew Obisesan. He is here with us and he in-house analyst. And also joining us now is Honorable Emeka Louis, who is the head of media and publicity in the welfare office of the National Secretary of a network within the the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. And so he will be joining us to talk about the reality of an opposition, if there is one. He will tell us if there is one in the polity, and if the ADC is for any reason contemplating taking that position effectively, so that Nigerians can have an alternative view, which they can also follow up with. And know that they have an option whether to run with the ADC or to run with the APC or to run with the PDP. They should be able to create that. So you're welcome, Mr. Emeka.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. So now I want to ask you, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think is the reality now about the political space? Do we have an opposition?
Very clear, very clear. The opposition is going daily like a widespread fire. You see, Nigerians are getting fed up and tired of everything and seeking for another option. It's just like what you have in the far northeast, where people are migrating. So the same way it is in the political space, people are fed up of what the ruling party has given and they are trying to leverage on something much more better, which the ADC offers. Thank you.
Okay. Do you think that in a democracy that we are in, do you think that there is a robust opposition today for the ruling All Progressive Congress?
Of course, you know, look at Nigeria for today. Everyone you see, like I keep telling people, it's not about the defection of government. The governors that are defecting is not the Nigerians. The Nigerians are the individuals on the street, just like you and I, who are tired of the entire system. And let me tell you, as a matter of fact, the membership of the African Democratic Congress, the wide range at which it has skyrocketed, no party has ever witnessed such before. Because the only hope the people had earlier on before, which was the People's Democratic Party, because of the entire issues springing up, and the people have come to understand and read clearly the mandate of the African Democratic Congress, and saying that the only option for them to survive come this 2027 is the African Democratic Congress, and that's the only way forward.
If you are holding this view, I can understand your position. Being a member, you believe that all starts and end with the ADC. That is being loyal to your party. But let's get this straight. The last election, the election in Kaduna, which was a test, the local government election, which was a test of the presence of the APP, the powers of the ADC. They're thinking it did show forth in that election. There was one other state again in the south, I think. That Anambra also did not show off. It is coming up again. Oshu is also on the line. So these are elections, of course, which we, even though your spokesman Abdullahi has said that it is not a test of the party's preparedness, but Nigerians would have expected, given the frenzy, the way the way it was in the public space, even the way they were talking in the public place, the outcome of these elections in Kaduna, where you have even a chieftain, a senior chieftain of the party, RFI. How will you describe that outcome?
For me, I would say that the party called the ADC, I would say, even though it's been in existence for long, but there is a new revolution. Yes. You know, it's just been revolutionized.
Yes, there's a new revolution. The movement of
there's some big name, big wigs in politics who have just joined, and unfortunately, there's also almost the same virus that PDP was suffering. Somehow, it's find its way somehow to ADC recently. But thank God, I think they are somehow having a way of managing the internal crisis of the party. For me, I think the party itself really needs to work on their internal structure first. Especially in terms of their leadership structure. When that is done, they can easily stand as opposition also be. But as it stands today, somebody like RFI, for instance, is a big, is big in politics. Even in the north, is well known. He has a charisma. He has the personality to galvanize some spaces for them, even in Kaduna State. But APC as a party today, especially looking at their dominance nature, in the north, or even in Kaduna, where El-Rufai, comes from. Before ADC can get to that point of, maybe I will use the word snatching power away from APC, it's going to be a good strategy. They have to really come up with especially when we are talking about 2027, especially at the presidential level, because the names, just like the honorable just said, it's not just about the campaign, just like he said, but the campaign also has some positive influence on viability of political party. And so that they were not present in some of these few elections, I would say it is due to leadership indecisiveness. I would say that is some of the parts that we expect as Nigerians, that as a party or a figure opposition party, that because many Nigerians are actually not looking at PDP now as a very viable opposition party. The alternative somehow, especially with the name Peter Obi, linking with ADC, many people have some level of consideration for this party. But the point is, what about doing the underground work first, the primary functions, galvanizing, especially within the rural environment? If you leave Abuja now and you go to you go to several other states in Nigeria, you may hardly see the structure. Many a time when you even tell people about it, they begin to compare it to APC, because many people don't actually have understanding of the name ADC outside cities like Abuja. Maybe you go to some other city, few other city, but you go to rural environment, people talk about PDP, even though they're having issue today. So I would say that ADC could have
they need to do a lot of work.
A lot of work
to penetrate into this.
A lot of work.
What do you call it? Rural areas.
A lot of work.
Where the votes are, because the votes are rarely in the rural areas.
Exactly.
The city centers don't have the votes that come from the rural areas.
Exactly. And so I would say that the leadership have a lot of work to do, to ensure that ensure Nigerians that this is a viable opposition party with ideology, not just the name. With ideology. And
what is the ideology that is pushing ADC? What is the ideology that is supposed to attract people? People who will see that, okay, no, APC not, we don't have this, PDP don't have this, but this is what ADC. What is that drive in the ADC that will make me, for instance, now I have younger ones and sisters and brothers who want to move into a political party. What is attractive in the ADC? Now,
first and foremost, let me just like my analyst said here, and I just wanted to give an insight of what he said. First and foremost, let it be very clear, there are no issues in the party system. ADC remains united, formidable for the 2027 battle. And I want to refer back to what you said about the off-cycle election. Let me remind us that before the off-cycle election, our great leader, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, was with the SDP, if you could recall. And he just collected his membership for the ADC of recent, because then it was still in the coalition process. Now everybody has taken a formidable stand on where they belong. And that's why you see even our leader also, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, received his membership at Adamawa. So people are coming in because they see that's a path which we're heading to, the pathway which is just exactly what the Nigerian challenge is. On 30th of July, when the first NWC meeting was held, the leadership of the national chairman himself, Senator David Marks, said it clearly: we are going to run on clear transparency. We are going to enact discipline in our party. These are clear things that Nigeria political party system and operation is really lacking. Transparency, discipline. No one is even being carried along. And he stated it clearly also that day. In this party, this ADC, no godfatherism, nothing of such. Everyone will be carried along. Let me even state it clearly. Of recent, there is something very, very, very storming that we're doing, which no party in the history of Africa has ever done, which is coming from the office of the National Welfare Secretary.
Okay, what
that is one Nigerian, one skill. We intend to get to the rural and both the urban to make sure that every Nigerian has one thing him or her can do. We don't want Nigerians to depend on the government work. When there is a custom recruitment, everybody lines up, everybody wants to be a custom officer, and at the end of it is the senator's son that is picked and he becomes a custom officer. What happens to the common man? This is what the party has looked at and said, we want to engage all Nigerians. We want all Nigerians to have a feel of this thing we call the money circulation, the sense of belonging. Let them know that they are Nigerians and the opportunity can get to anyone, no matter where you are. That is what the ADC is bringing forth to the table.
One Nigerian, one skill. That's a promise from the ADC. But let's look at general polity now. The Nigerian state, Nigeria as a nation, the people be expecting that by now there should have been some constructive conversation by the opposition. There have been so many things that are happening that the nation is not happy about. There are issues of insecurity. There are issues of excessive loan by the federal government. There are issues of high-handedness, semi-high-handedness as it were. And so people would have wanted the opposition to have a voice in which it will be speaking on behalf of them, to let the government know that, look, Nigerians don't want this, Nigerians want this. And this is, it seems that the ADC is also focusing on getting its own membership and structure properly set, like the PDP, because in case of the PDP, it was okay before, but now it is scattering. So in that of the ADC is what you are just saying that it is united. Is the ADC going to? Are Nigerians going to see ADC come out blazing?
I'll show you that. You see, we have just started what we call, when the program wants to start, the MC will first test his microphone. What we are now is we are just testing the microphone.
Wonderful.
I'm assuring Nigerians that through the leadership of His Excellency Senator David Mark and our distinguished ever-working secretary, His Excellency Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, that what Nigerians will see from January 2026, I keep repeating it, it's the kind that no party has ever seen. If you check in terms of opposing most of the lapses of the government, we have been on board. Look at our national publicity, Alhaji Ubolaji. He has constantly reminded the government, number one, government is not a family business. Government is government of inclusiveness. Government is not government of rotation of cabals. Look at our political lapses you just mentioned about. How can you have a system where you are stating a particular figure that we have men on ground, security men on ground at so number, multiply it by what you have in the country? Are these things being realistic? Where are these men you quote about that we have them in large quantity, in large number and the rest? And now you're coming up with another ideology, you want to recruit many. There are the ones you have before. Have we worked on their welfare? These are things we should look at. Have we worked on their welfare? If you say we have ammunitions and the rest of it, where are they? Every year, a particular part of the budget is being pushed to the ammunition. Where is our ammunitions? Look at it was even a mess. How can your jet be crashing? These are things that are not heard of. That means there is lack of maintenance in the system.
When it can cause a crash of an aircraft, not necessarily lack of maintenance, because even the high, the highly maintenance cultural environment like the UK and the US, such a incident. That's why they have the issue of investigation to know what these technical errors are, and then they can rework it. Yes, and we expect that we'll have more performance in terms of the aircraft that we have and all that. But in running an opposition in democracy, we have an alternative view. What is the hope that Nigerians should have on an alternative view in an opposition party? What should Nigerians be expecting the opposition party to do?
Look, opposition parties are very, very, very critical part in democracy. when you have, in fact, the essence of democracy itself is to allow people's voice to be heard. And so when
divergence,
divergence of views, if you have a democratic system whereby just one political party is controlling, in fact, not just 50%, not 60%, not 80%, may perhaps 85 to 90% of the state, then you therefore means it means we are it's almost becoming an authoritarian state. For me, I know for sure that we've so far had a system of oligarchy system, very closely with our own pattern of democracy, even though we tend to be practicing democracy in theory. But I discovered that immediately PDP lost election in 2015. It seems that like opposition party collapsed. APC was doing very well. They were doing very well as at 2011, especially prior to, immediately that party was formed. That merged parties was formed into what you call APC today. There was a lot of I will even call some of them even propaganda, but yet they were able to achieve their result through those propagandas. We still remember some of these Save Nigerians. We still remember some, even the first subsidy, the president had to reverse it because there was strong opposition political party. But just immediately after PDP lost election, APC came on board. It seems as if there is something that just naturally affects the opposition. And since then, we've not gotten it right. Since then, you can quote me, we've not gotten it right anywhere. Opposition parties are in place to checkmate. Whatever the governing party is doing, they are meant to serve also as watchdog, where they see some of their lapses, they voice out, they build on some of those lapses to gain strength, and thereby with view to get themselves back into power. But as it stands today, there are a lot of things to talk about. Look at the insecurity. Though they've been talking about, look, I have not seen that viability. That level of what you could call opposition, like when you watch some of this Western world, what is happening around the world. I mean, we don't really have it for now. But just like the honorable, my guest said, I think we may be having something related, closely now the election is also coming closer gradually. Maybe they are working on some, things that me and you may not even know internally. But as of today, there are a lot to talk about. The insecurity alone is even enough to talk about. It's happening in several states. There should be a lot of analysis, a lot. But and the worst part of it that I have seen so far is that even the one who was talking, perhaps talking as a single individual, as a citizen, a concerned citizen, talking about this, before, suddenly they get juicy offer and they move to the other side. And then
there has been a lot of a movement. We have people like Boala who was speaking.
You can just imagine Boala or Reno.
Something he saw in the APC that made him move to the APC. We have someone like Reno
Mokri,
who had carried the placard, traveled over to
several
London.
Times, yes.
I think it was London or France that he went. I was saying they should send him back home.
Yeah, exactly.
Then he was not president, that he was not a man that should be, what they call him, in power. The same man, what do you call it, one of Atiku's spokesman, what's his name, Showumi,
yeah.
Showumi also had an encounter with Tinubu, and he described it as a man who is mentally alert, and very shocking to know him at that stage.
Recently.
And so for Showumi, it's better to remain on the side of Tinubu than wanting than going to criticize him. So I think that point you brought, I do not know if possibly you'll be going there very soon too, because there is this bag in APC. When you look at it, it's a crystal ball. As you look at it, you see a political rise.
Exactly.
And then you move immediately. I'm sure some of your leaders in the party have not seen that bag yet. If they put that,
well, for me, I think it's time that some persons like me, youths like me, will put their conscience on the scale.
Okay.
Some of us left the APC for ADC.
Mm.
I was part of those who left the APC for ADC.
Wow.
And when you talk of APC, I had a lot of benefits. Mm. But it wasn't just about me. Because coming to APC then, when I was in APC then, at least if not for anything, I was the secretary for the president's one-year football tournament. Mm. Apart from that, there are many other things I've benefited, even in the campaign council. I went alongside many times and the rest for the president's family. Mm. At least for those who know me, I was close to Yoloja, the president's daughter. So I've gotten a lot of favors from APC. I wouldn't deny that fact, but it's all about conscience. Mm. Some of us should be able to work with our conscience and understand that it's initially I supported the president. I wouldn't deny the fact. Okay. But looking at the entire thing, there's nothing working. Wow. Let's not deny. Let's not just there's one adage in my place that says when they take the corpse of another man and cross, it looks like a firewood. Mm. But when it's that of the person, that's when the person now understands it's a human being. I feel the pain of those in the far east, in the far northeast. I feel the pains of even those in the southeast that have gone through a lot of pains, the kidnapping, the rest of it. Now I'm now being forced to ask myself, fine, if we have securities on the roadside that do the roadblock and the rest, then why are we still having kidnapping in those same locations? Is it that there is something actually wrong in the government system? And these are things that we should not look at what we stand to benefit, like when the rice is on my table, Nigeria is good, hallelujah. No. If the rice is good and you're eating the rice, what about the other man, like in the Bible, who was at the table waiting for crumbs from the big man? Must we continue to live that way in Nigeria when we have all the resources? I could live. I was living a very comfortable, even till now. I was living a comfortable life with the APC, but I keep telling you, you see, people who are lazy are the ones that always look for comfort zone. Some of us, we worked our way there, and we try to maintain the fact that we have what we're doing outside governance, and that's why I keep telling people, if you want to be in the government, also have what you're doing. You have your first address. Don't let your first address. Let your first address not be your political party or the government you are attached to. Today Mr. Lagbaja brings 20 million. Mr. Lagbaja, forgive him his sins and the rest of it. Mr. Lagbaja is good to go. And when Mr. Lagbaja stops giving you the 20 million and Mr. XYZ gets you the 30 billion, XYZ, you are just so. That's not the kind of lifestyle we should be portraying to the generations coming. I wish Mr. Mokri well in his ambassadorial stuff, but I always tweet and tell him, I always call him, I said, please don't let your children learn this kind of lifestyle. Let's have a straightforward path where we young people can see wrong and say this is wrong, we can see right and say this is right. Trust me, if I see a government that is giving my people all they want, believe me, you wouldn't even see me in any opposition. But hence we can't get what we want. You have played and toyed with the feelings, the whole hope of Nigeria, lost for how many years? Since 2011. And you say you want to take us to where? Take us to where? Where? You could not take us to that path we want, the place we were hoping to be from 2011. So is it now 2027 you take us to where we want to be? Anyone telling himself or having hope that him or her will get to promised land in 2027 with the current government is actually telling his or herself lies. Ask yourself, what before when you earn your salary, you are feeling so good and so funky because your people have something to go home with. You are even smiling. But nowadays, I'm telling you, workers even spend their salary even before the payment comes. The security people are no longer sure of themselves. The healthcare sector is really messed up. Do you want to talk about the schools? Do you know how many schools that are being shut down? Even I saw a video of a school where students are still sitting on the floor, and I felt like crying. I said, even in my own days, as far back as the 90s, I never sat on the floor. I went to Mafo local grammar school too. I never sat on ground. Other schools I went to, I never sat on the floor, and I'm shocked in this 2025. Young children are still sitting on the floor. It's horrible. It's horrible.
These are the reasons why you need an alternative. These are the reasons why you need an opposition in the political party. What he just mentioned: school, healthcare system, transportation system, education. What is the other one now? Because there are 4 critical aspects of human welfare deliveries in the state. And so
security.
Once security, which is paramount, and once a state is having challenge with these, it becomes a very serious issue. And it is for this reason that we here in the polity, we are calling that there should be a robust opposition that will tackle the government, not for the sake of tackling, but tackle her judiciously, criticize her constructively, such that at the end of the day, Nigerians would have seen that by virtue of these activities, educational sector is better. The security situation in the country is better. It took a threat from an American president to begin to make Nigerian security architecture to jack up. Why do we need to wait for that? Why do we need to wait for that? If we had a robust internal opposition that will face the government on the errors it has noticed, we would never have gotten to the point of this international embarrassment. So, my brother, when an opposition, there are times that opposition, when they come, they may become too tough and hard that the government start firing them and even fighting them. What is the place of tolerance in a government where an opposition is running?
These are it's not just opposition party. Even journalists are, crying over the same thing. Many African leaders are still having the old mentality of the military era, and I think it's one of the the challenges we have. Even if you can look at what is happening across Africa, especially sub-region of West Africa, you will discover that even now we are still having some trace of what we ought to have left for a long time. The benefit of democracy, or maybe I would say the significance of democracy, actually is to allow people to be free. That you and I can sit, we can talk about what is happening in government, the ones we don't like, we can criticize openly without any threats. Now, many people cannot talk against government today for few reasons. One is that some of them, even in the opposition, some of them are still loyal to the present administration. Sometimes they speak they speak to the public and then they go back, to rub the back of the president or even their paymasters. And so once you are of multiple faces, of course, there are a lot of things you won't be able to do freely. That's one. Number two is that because of the impact of intervention of military in our government, we still have this mentality of whom our president is. That the president is very, is like one superhuman that is untouchable, as if it's one demigod that many people cannot just talk about. So that is it. When you look at that, you can trace it back to where we have, military rule. That people, even, you can't just speak about, for instance, just look at someone like Abacha and you just go on radio and begin to blast him. You know what could happen. The negative effect. Even NBC today, you can still see some of the the streamlining effect of a regulation just to to balance some of these speeches and all of that. Now, but in the recess of it is not supposed to be. Elected officials, even from the president, whether it's president or the governor, or even down to the local government, they are servants in reality.
Yes, in reality,
they are servants. These
to the people.
If you look at social contracts, theory, for instance, you will discover that this is where this thing was derived from, and the essence of it is for majority to entrust their power in the hands of few, for security especially, which is the number one, and then for welfare of the entire populace. If I hire you, for instance, if I happen to be your employer, and you have to do what I truly desire, I will have to tell you these are the terms and conditions of my, of my operation. It is either you like it or not. If you can't operate it, then you can either resign or I fire you. And so when oppositions are speaking out, maybe speaking against government policies that are not in favor of the people, they are doing the right thing. And so it's not left for the government or the governance council or the people, the ones in government today, to realize that they are truly servants of the people, not rulers of the people. And so once you have that understanding that you're not rulers, you are servants. It's actually a privilege for you to have even been elected in the first place. It is an entrustment. Like, we entrust you with our resources, with our power. We lay down our power for you to lead us. And so once you see yourself from that angle, like I was telling someone yesterday, that you can't truly be a good servant until you begin to serve. Until you begin to serve. And when you begin to serve majority of people, you understand that it's not everybody, even the one you are trying to sacrifice everything for, he might not end up liking you. Now, that is one of the irony of being a leader. And that does not mean you should cut him off or you should just, discard him. It is within leadership skill for you to bring them together, to make people to see reasons and all of that. So the opposition party had the responsibility of speaking out without any fear. Then the leaders of today, or the government, also had the responsibility of being tolerating them, not with hunting them with one thing or the other, or also some of them also know their secret. And once you know that I know your secret, of course, once you come after me, I can use that against you. And sincerely, that is one of the challenge we are having in Nigeria, when you look at the opposition parties in our country.
Yes, you see, an opposition party is not an enemy of the ruling party. The opposition party is an alternative, so that when people don't agree totally with the policies of the government in power, they can also find a place of idea rest in the opposition party. And so when you have them, you must extend a high level of tolerance that is well to them. You must also ensure that they are robustly protected, because they are citizens of the country. And why they provide that what we call opposition is just to be able to be prepared. And if by any chance there is a transition, it will be peaceful, because because by virtue of their criticism, you would have seen they would have also gathered some very helpful lines of thoughts that they are going to work with. And when they now begin to mess up, it becomes a tool that you use, just like in the days of the PDP, when the PDP was in power. The very same thing that they are crying, the opposition was crying that they were doing, is what today they are facing.
Absolutely.
Talk about high-handedness of the power, the political party in power. The PDP did that. It was not that PDP that the governor was moved as arrested in a hotel room in the southeast.
Yes.
It was so that the PDP that was done.
Exactly.
And before there was a lot of brigandage by one very wealthy young man in that state. And who made it almost impossible for us. That was in Anambra State. Before that is OE of OE. Okay. Before Peter Obi came to power. So some of these they are not new in the politics, but it doesn't make them right. That one did it before, another one is doing it, doesn't make it right. For some time, what do you call it? When President Obasanjo denied, said he was not going to give Lagos State any allocation, because the local government that were created are the ones statutorily empowered to get that allocation. And therefore he's not going to give money that will be shared with road development areas. And it was an issue. And people did criticism. But after that whole time, the state got the money when the other came up. So this opposition is no enemy. It is providing an alternative where people can find a place to patch and decide to blossom with their thoughts and ideas or ideology, as the case may be, for a democratic advancement. Now, so my brother, I will now ask you I will ask you again: do we have an opposition?
You see, let me even broaden our scope on this word called opposition. You see, when people hear the word opposition, they think maybe definitely you must be in a different party before you become an opposition personnel, as to say. See, I want to draw your attention. 2022, that's 2022, I was the senior special assistant to Abia State Governor. And even before that, even when I was a technical officer, it was my party in place. But still, of all the whole aides of the governor, boldly I was still telling them the clear truth of the pain the people feel in my own state. And sometimes someone will say, you want His Excellency to clear off your appointment. And I say, if clearing off my appointment is the yardstick for me not speaking, please take your appointment. It's better you just hold your appointment, let me feel free to be able to express myself and let you know how the people feel, because I'm part of the people. Me being your SA doesn't make me different from the people, because if I cannot make sure the government has done great things for people, then how do I go back to my village?
That's a good question.
See, look at, okay, now let's look at, for example, the president said, okay, we draw all the security from VIPs, and VIPs started writing letter, our life, our life. Why should you be scared of your life if you are actually doing the right thing?
So they were not concerned about the lives of the people who were on the road, who are being killed. They only news items.
So that is why I'm saying this word opposition can happen anywhere, even in the party. Yes, within the party.
But the viable opposition that the public easily identify with, and when you have a political party that is not in power, and then is providing that guidance, because what opposition does is actually providing guidance for the party in power. Hey, this thing you are about to do is very wrong. We are fighting the people. This will not. This is anti-people. This one will do this to the people. The government will not reverse. It's actually providing a guidance. And the fear now, ahead of 2027 general election, if there is no such what's it called, opposition, there is a fear that even when the party in power is sliding, that tendency is there that nobody will even be able to correct, and she may not even know. You know, you can be doing something wrong and you are doing it innocently.
The truth is that there is opposition, and like I will state it clearly, the only opposition we have today is the African Democratic Congress. And why I'm telling you this is
one of the opposition family, but yet
it's the core opposition party we have in Nigeria now. Even the common man knows that. The common man knows that, because let me tell you one thing that will shock you. You know, I always keep telling you about 2027. 2027 will be a double repeat of the tsunami of what happened then when the Labour Party came with the interest of the people, if you could recall. Now, despite the fact many of these big men were going dilly-dandying around the ruling party, they jumped from the ruling party to the opposition party then, which is PDP. At the end, what happened? Look at the entire positions where, by the common man. Look at some states where you see an Okada man emerging in the House of Rep. Double of that same action is going to repeat itself in 2027, because even if governors want to, even some governors, let me just say the truth, even if the whole governors in Nigeria defect to APC, I tell you, it will be the people's will against the will of those against the people. That is what is going to happen in 2027.
And that is the greatest opposition.
And that is the greatest opposition. That's why I'm telling you that ADC is going to break the history of what has never happened in Nigeria. You know, I'm telling you, I just gave you a scope of one of the programs we are coming on board with. The remaining, I wouldn't let it out yet. But I am telling you, you see, 2026 to 2027 is a day to remember. You say, yeah, truly, Rotarian Emeka Louis told me this. It's actually playing out, because the people go on the street. Check the heartbeat of the people. The people are really bittered. No matter even if the president wants to share 30 bags of rice to each household, the people are fed up of the system. A whole community in Benue taken over by bandits. You come down to the far northeast. Look at issues that are happening. The overtaking of bandits in Madagascar. It was still in this same APC government. So where are we heading to? Have you ever been heard that a general, a serving general dies? It's been more. They are assholes.
The quiet even around that is troubling. The quiet around that is troubling, because Serving general, taking off. As a bandit.
You know, this, just to support a little bit of what he said, for me, sitting down here, I know as of today, there is no clear opposition in Nigeria. We may have them, you know,
but they are theory, to galvanize themselves.
But when you talk about in practicality, or what should be as a figure opposition structured, for now, I believe they are still warming up, personally. Now, but I think I like one of the things he said, when he said the people. You know, when you look at even the opposition figures today, these are friends, you know, people who come together, who are disagreeing.
And even friends of those who are in power.
Of course, these are people who were even in the same party. They were even founding fathers of the parties. You know, so you can't completely say they are not friends. And that's why when you have any of them, I mean, just go and look at their children getting married, you will discover that these are friends. Okay? Now,
some have their sisters as wives of
exactly. No. So as of today, I would say the masses, what we have is just when what Kamas was talking about, that there is nothing like state. Rather, there are a few people, privileged people, who take the resources of the state, for just their own personalism, and then against the proletariat. So the masses are the one who are the opposition today. Let's get that clear. As of today, 2025, masses of Nigeria are the opposition. And so that's why I will be worried about the ideology of even the party that are the opposition figures today. If they had come, if you look at what happened in 2023, you could hear an opposition figure, talking to the hearts of Nigerians. And I remember that for the first time, I witnessed a lot of people who wouldn't have even gone to stretch themselves to vote or to even get the PVC. They voluntarily, including old and young, many people decided to vote because of one voice. I am not an advocate of any of them. I'm just saying that Nigerians are yearning for a new country, a new nation, where there will be, security, where there will be jobs for those who are unemployed, where poverty, at least drastically, reduced. If you look at what China has done, then you discover that it is possible. This is possible. It's not rocket science. Just look at Nigeria today. Nigeria will gain independence since 1960, and up till now, we are still battling with power supply. We are still battling to build power. Now tell me, what industry can function effectively without power? It's almost impossible, isn't it? So the Nigerian people, the populace, the citizens, as of today, are the figures when you talk about the opposition party. So any opposition party today who can, work on the cycle of the people, who can come up with a clear plan of the party ideology, will definitely have the people behind them. Because as of today, every one of us are Nigerians and we know where we want to be. Yeah. We go to other countries and we see what happened there. Many even our leaders go abroad to go and enjoy themselves. They go there for treatment, they go there for several other things. We also want to benefit this in our country. And it takes humans to put them in place. And so what we are looking out for, we're not even looking out for Nigerians are not talking about tribe this time around. And that's why when you look at Peter Obi movement in 2023, you discover that it cut across. It wasn't just about Southeast. A lot of people just listen to him and say, come to think of it, who is this man? Let's follow him. Because he was saying, whether he meant it or not, but he was saying what they want to hear.
The sincerity was there.
The sincerity somehow, through his voice, you could see it. So the opposition figures as of now that we have, in my opinion, they are still the same people. The whole politicians that you and I know, I grew up to know them. And I know many Nigerians also grew up to know them. But the people today, as I'm sitting here as an analyst, I know a lot of people are desiring for change. A lot of people are desiring, a positive movement from what we have now to a new one. And so any opposition party that could bring, that on board, maybe even in speaking out of it, coming out with these strategies, talking about some of the things that should be happening in Nigeria, people naturally follow. And that's what I think will be having the right kind of opposition.
I'm happy you talked about the people, that the people are the major opposition. Now, let me tell you that even when APC was formed, even when PDP came on board in 1999, no party has ever had a high drive on membership. But I'm telling you, within the time the coalition took place, till this very day you and I are speaking, we are not talking about old members of the ADC. We are telling you, ever since the coalition took place, a total number of 10 million plus have collected membership cards. Ordinary man on the street. What's the population of Nigeria? Now, within few months the coalition took place, to this very December you and I are talking about, 10 million plus have collected their membership, telling you want to belong to this party called ADC. Then that's enough reason for you to know that there is a direction Nigerians are driving towards. I tell you, do a random sampling, go to the street, hold an APC membership card, hold an ADC membership card, and tell the common man in the street and say, please take one of these cards, we want to make you a member. Watch his reaction. Watch what he's going to do. You will see him just move towards your right side where you have the ADC card and abandon the APC card. Do you know why? Because he knows I've not seen any man that has headache and goes to a construction site unless you want to kill yourself. That's the truth. Because the heavy duty machines at that truck site could cost much more than a migraine. So nobody wants to go to that direction because they have understood and they have clearly defined the direction where their pain is coming from, and the only option is to move the other direction. Now I want to also remind you also, you said something about same persons, their brothers, this and that and that. See, politics does not mean we should be enemies. We could smile, we could relate. My daughter could like your daughter or your son, and they could get married. It doesn't stop the fact that we are driving towards one path towards change in a community. Community is being made up of various brothers, is it not? Now ask yourself, why is it that at a particular point they sit at the village square and somebody is being excommunicated or somebody is being given a severe punishment? It's not like they hate you. It's when they tell you you are excommunicated from the community, it's not like they hate you in that community. They only tell you just give space so that people don't get affected by that very stuff of yours. So that's why Nigerians are saying, okay, fine, we want to excommunicate APC in this 2027.
That voice is coming from the voice of the ADC believer, because I can tell you clearly from the level of decimation of the opposition by the APC and the level of people are running into the party, because take it or leave it, state governors have enough influence structures in their states.
Of course.
You get it. Well, again, those in the ADC are people who you can say are old cats. They also know how to do these things around, so they understand it's politicians matching politicians.
Exactly.
To see what they can do. But we know very well that in the pursuit for 2027, Nigerians need opposition. That is a fact. That there is no two-way about that. Nigerians need a viable opposition that will be able to hold the leadership accountable. Opposition is about accountability. Opposition is about alternative view. Opposition is about better governance. Opposition is about taking you off the drift so that you can stay focused and get things done. That is what opposition is all about. And thank God we've agreed here. All three of us have agreed that if people are the first opposition, because when things are not going, look at the level of insecurity in the country. The people have been shouting and crying. And so thank God, God heard the prayers of people, and then somebody somewhere backed, and then the entirety of the state architectural security architecture went into motion.
I think we need another back.
We are calling for another back. Nigeria is sovereignty. I will tell you, Nigeria is sovereignty. Without this, we are not troubling back. But there's a sign that we got a sign yesterday on Sunday when Macron said that the president reached out to him, and of course I requested for support. So that means something is working on the ground, and Nigerians are waiting to see how that will benefit everyone. So this will be the last one because our time is almost up. We have less than 3 minutes. So let me. What is your last word to Nigerians on the place of an opposition for 2020 ahead of 2027?
Well, for me, as a citizen of Nigeria as well, and as a political analyst, I would say Nigerians should be hopeful, be positive. This country is not the worst on earth. There are a lot of positive things that is still happening in Nigeria, even now as I speak. Despite whatever we may be going through, there are still a lot of positivity in Nigeria as of now, as of today. So what I would say is that let's be hopeful for 2027. But you have your own role to play. You have your role to play, and your role is to get your PVC ready and decide, go and look at their policies, the ones that favors Nigerians the most. Those who are coming up with the right thing for the country should be the right people to go to follow. So you have the right, to one vote, and your vote is your power. So get ready for a positive change. Thank you.
All right. Well, you are not saying come and promote this here. Just tell us the benefit of opposition in the ahead of 2027. What is your last word for Nigerians?
Well, my last word for Nigerians is just like I will tell you any day, anytime. People should start learning how to work with their conscience. This time around, let's do something different. Let the mindset of the people first change. What's that mindset I'm talking about? Most people they're always happy, they're always looking forward to elections. And when elections are coming up, their thought is, oh, this is the time to make money and the rest. Should we continue that same way? Let's look at oppositions, parties that bring better things to the table, real genuine things. We can see clear facts. Not I would type like someone was cracking a joke and a politician came and said, I will fire you, I will water you, and no, that's not what we let's do the clear analysis. If you are saying you want to be my governor, what have you done even when you were even a headmaster? Let's look at that part. That's where
there should be a
the Western nations.
It's not about just bringing a man from
The Western nations look at you as antecedents. What have you done? What's your? You see, I'm sorry to say this. It's just so painful that in African people who have very very bad antecedents are giving clear waivers at governance. In foreign nations, you don't do that. In foreign nations,
before you go to foreign nation, how do we elect local chiefs? Is it not a man of impeccable character? The community is somewhere in Ibadan. The church where the money they were keeping it with a Muslim because they trusted him. They were keeping the money with him for the building of the church project.
Wow!
Before we got to where we got to now, so it's about trust of a community because they knew that man very well in that community. As you gave it to him, that's the way it is. How he's giving it to you. Wow. Even in his death, he wrote out the money different groups gave to him, and the family had to return. Wow. Look at it. So these are realities of our environment. We don't know how the politicians just came, damage the whole thing, and then suddenly you now get to a point where people with
that's why I said there's a revival. If you look at my last statement, the first meeting of the NWC, the leadership of Senator David Mark, he spoke clearly on this. And if you watch, the party has been towing on that part. He talked about transparency.
We'll get your party here to come and talk to us. Talk to us about your party when the time comes. Right now, we are talking about 2027 general election. Does Nigeria have any opposition? And we do, as it is now, there's a consensus that the opposition is yet to be alive. We do. So the point that Nigerians will know that yes, there's a opposition that is defending them. Exactly. Well, the conversation today has been on the 2027 general election. Does Nigeria have a viable opposition? And as it is today, we are yet to see one that can stand the way the APC stood against the PDP. The way the coalition of the APC stood against the PDP, and the way the early PDP started and then Labour Party took over, and now we are beginning to witness more of silence. And this is why we had to come up with this. But let us agree that by God's grace, with time, we are going to see a viable position. But don't forget that you are the #1 opposition to make sure that we have a better governance. And opposition is not enemy. Opposition is just providing an alternative voice to the issue that is needed. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Thank you for being with us also. Thank you, Mr.
Obisesan.
Rotarian Emeka Louis.
My name is Osaretin Osadebamwen. I will say this is how we wrap up for today. It's a wrap. Bye.